welcome to episode number 37 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio. My name is Esports and Gaming Insider Jason Fanelli, and we have a banger of a show for you tonight, folks. 3 big topics that we're going to cover throughout the night. We're finally going to talk Overwatch League schedule. We're finally going to talk about Pokemon 25 coming up this week. And then we're going to talk about the State of Play presentation that dropped earlier Thursday with some new information across all of PlayStation. So, let's not wait any longer and get right into the 6 in 60 seconds. The Overwatch League's 2021 season has been fully detailed, beginning April 16th with Houston versus Dallas and the returning champion San Francisco Shock versus the LA Gladiators. Meanwhile, Riot Games has created the Valorant Champions Tour Game Changers, a new program designed to create new opportunities for female and marginalized players. Elsewhere, Call of Duty League Super Week continues throughout the weekend. Notable results so far is Paris over Florida for their first win of the year, and Atlanta, Optic Chicago, and LA Thieves all winning. PlayStation's State of Play aired on Thursday after being teased on Tuesday, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade being the biggest news of that presentation. Electronic Arts and BioWare announced the cancellation of Anthem Next, the major update plan for BioWare's beleaguered 2019 release, marking the end of the game's development. And finally, the second Fighting Game Developer Roundtable was streamed last Saturday night. Big news there, including Ino as the 15th character for Guilty Gear Strive, Samurai Showdown / Guilty Gear crossover, and a new Tekken 7 character of Polish descent. Those are your 6 in 60 seconds. Yes, folks, those are the 6 in 60 seconds, brought to you, as always, by the sponsor of Cheesesteaks and Controllers, Ghost Shaver. The Ghost Shaver is designed to feel like it's an extension of your arm, allowing users to reach anywhere on your head, face, or body. Its precision cutting system gives you a close and smooth shave every single time, and its 5 rotary flex action super thin blades and patented handheld design fits it into the palm of your hand precisely, giving you a firm and controlled grip. Go to ghostshaver.com right now to find out more and get yours. ghostshaver.com. Yes, there we are, moving right along here to the first topic of the evening, and that is the plans for Overwatch League's 2021 season. We are here, folks. It is almost here. Overwatch League's 2021 season begins April 16th, and I could not be more excited to get it going. Now, the whole schedule is now live. You can find it at overwatchleague.com/schedule. Every team's 16 regular season games are outlined, and we will go through the Fusion's schedule shortly. The way that the season will work is it will be 4 in-season tournaments. Each team will play 3 qualifiers. From those qualifiers, they will be seeded, or is it 4? 4 qualifiers, and then they'll be seeded based on how they perform in those qualifiers. And then the tournaments will play out. The Western side will have 6 seeds of the 12 teams that are in there. The Eastern side will have 4 seeds of the 8 teams in that region. Eventually, we will get to a final 4, 2 from each side, the West and the East, and they will meet in a global tournament weekend where we will have one clear winner of each of the 4 tournaments. The May Melee on May the 7th, the June Joust on June the 11th, the Summer Showdown on July the 16th, and the Countdown Cup on August to 20th, which leads right into the 2021 playoffs and grand finals. It's basically what they did last year after the pandemic got going. The season obviously started with live events as they were planning. We had one in the Met here in Philly. They were all over the country. And then COVID shut everything down. And then they went into this tournament structure. So at first they only had the May Melee tournament with those 3 weeks of qualifiers. They did not have one in June. So the June Joust is new. But then the Summer Showdown tournament is happening again. The Countdown Cup is happening again. So those will remain the same. The weeks of qualifiers will remain the same. The in-season tournament structure will be what I just described. But there is a new scoring system that I feel like we should get into. So for the scoring this year, I'm going to read right off of the website here. This season, they're shifting to a new scoring system for standings that awards league points for qualifier and tournament wins. Each team plays 16 qualifier matches throughout the season. Each win is worth 1 league point. A team that qualifies for and wins in the tournaments can acquire additional points as follows. So in third place in the global finals, you'll get an extra point. In second place, you'll get an extra 2. And in first place, you'll get an extra 3. So within each tournament cycle, any wins during the 3 weeks of qualifiers will also accrue league points and determine seeding and qualification for that specific tournament. So, for example, and this is where it gets a little confusing for those who might not be familiar with the esports structure. So a team plays the first 3 weeks starting on April 16th, and they don't qualify for the May Melee tournament. In the qualifying matches that they play in that first 3 weeks, they stink up the joint, and they have to sit out the May Melee. Week 6, while the standings are the same, weeks 6, 7, and 8 are in their own little bubble as far as qualifying for the June Joust. So a team who bombed out of the May Melee could easily find themselves in the top seed, one of the top seeds in the June Joust tournament in their respective regions, which I think is cool. I think it keeps giving teams ample opportunities to earn the extra points that they would earn in those tournaments, while also be able to continue earning points through the qualifiers. It's a good structure. I think the way that they plan this out is a very, very cool idea. The playoffs will be determined through the league points acquired throughout the season. The top 3 teams in the West and the top 2 teams from the East will qualify for the playoffs after the Countdown Cup. And then a play-in tournament for each region will qualify an additional 3 teams, 2 from the West and 1 from the East, into the remaining spots in the 8-team double elimination playoff bracket. So it sounds like, reading that the playoffs this year will not be segmented into West and East coming together in the Final Four. It sounds like the entire bracket will be global from the start. That's a great, great idea. I hope that sticks. More specific information about the postseason format is still forthcoming. We don't have that yet. We're just getting the regular season stuff now. So yes, as I said earlier, the season starts April 16th with the first weekend of qualifiers. It goes April 16 and 17, 16, 17, 18, excuse me. The next weekend, 23, 24, 25, and the weekend after that, 29, April 30th, and May the 1st. Are the first 3 weeks of qualifiers that go right into the May Melee tournament on May the 7th. That is a 2-week tournament, the first weekend being the regional knockouts, and then the second weekend being the tournament weekend. And then I think they take 1 week off, and then week 6, May 21st, they get right back into it with the June Joust qualifier. So it'll go 3 weeks of qualifiers, a week of tournaments, a week off, 3 weeks of qualifiers, tournament, week off. I think that's how the structure is. I think I just said that the tournaments are 2 weekends long. I'm sorry, I think I got that wrong. I think it's the regional knockouts are the last Sunday of qualifying match weeks. So it looks like the regional knockouts will be like week 3, that's Sunday, week 8, that's Sunday, so on and so forth. That's how I'm reading this. Also, for the global tournament weekend, where it's the top 2 in the East, the top 2 in the West, the 2 Western teams that qualify of the 12 will travel to Hawaii, where they will play against the 2 teams from the East with a directly routed connection from Hawaii to Asia. So the way that they're making it so that these tournaments can be global, all 4 tournaments can be global, is that they're flying the 2 winning teams from the Western side to Hawaii in order to play their games there. And I got to be honest with you, flying to Hawaii to potentially win a bunch of money playing Overwatch, that sounds pretty ideal, if you ask me. I wouldn't mind that sort of setup in my life, to just jump on a plane and head to Hawaii to win a bunch of money playing video games. That sounds pretty good, if you ask me. Where do I sign up? And why am I 20 years too late to do it? Yeah, that ship has long sailed for me, folks. As much as I would love to play professional video games all day, I just do not have the mettle to compete in games like this with the people that compete in them. So first, let's talk about the prize pool for 2021. The entire prize pool has been announced. For each of the tournaments, if you get into the global finals, you're guaranteed $20,000 for your team. Third place, $35,000. Second place, $70,000, and first place, a whopping $100K for each of the four tournaments: May Melee, June Joust, so on and so forth. The playoffs are a different story. The playoffs, if you're in the top 8 and you make the playoffs this year, you're guaranteed $50K, which goes to teams 8 and 7. 6 gets $100K. 5th gets $200K. 4th, $300. 3rd, $350. Second place, if you get into the grand finals, the absolute final of the playoffs, you are guaranteed $700,000 for your team, with the winner taking $1.5 million and the championship trophy. $1.5 million for winning the Overwatch League is nothing to sneeze at, and that is that's pretty cool. So that I'm hoping that our Fusion can get that done, but seeing that kind of money thrown into this tournament just tells you the kind of trust and hope that they have in it to be a solid tournament throughout the year. It also looks like they will be bringing back the hero pools, where it's a rotation of playable heroes, where not everyone is able to be selected. You have to use certain... you can't use certain heroes. It sounds like this format will only be used in the June Joust and the Countdown Cup. So every other tournament, not starting with the first tournament. And in both of those cycles, 4 heroes will be removed from play: 2 damage, 1 tank, and 1 support. And they are randomly selected from a group of eligible heroes based on data of play rate from the previous tournament cycle. So basically, the May Melee will play out. They'll have a data of the characters that were used and how often they were used. And from that data, 2 attack, 1 tank, and 1 support will be chosen and will not be allowed to be used in the June Joust. That is interesting. That's an interesting way to do it. It was weekly for a time last season, which just got very complicated. So making it for an entire tournament allows teams to, I guess, adapt a little better to the structure. So I dig that. And 2 other caveats here. Only heroes that are played regularly, 10% of the time or more, can be pooled, and none of them can be removed more than once. So if there's a hero that your favorite player likes, hope for that hero to be pulled out in the June Joust, because then that hero will be able to be used for the rest of the season, for including the playoffs, instead of having to worry about adjustments being made in the Countdown Cup right before the playoffs, potentially costing you a spot. So if whoever team you're rooting for, hope that's what happens for your people when the hero pools start during the June Joust tournament, the second tournament of the year. So the final thing I want to get into is the schedule for the Philadelphia Fusion this season. The schedule has come out. All 16 of those qualifiers are available now. They will be in the Eastern region, which means they will be playing out of South Korea and China for the duration of the 2021 season, which kind of stinks. But at the same time, I get it. Most, if not all, of their players are South Korean or Chinese in nature, or in descent. So them being able to play in their home countries where it's most comfortable, and bringing the players over there, I get it. It's the only thing it's really going to affect is my sleep pattern, but I don't sleep a whole lot anyway, so I'm not really affected by it. And if it makes the team better, I'm all for it. So they will have 4 qualifiers, like I said, for each tournament. The first tournament, the May Melee, the times aren't bad. You have Saturday, April 17th at 8 in the morning, and Sunday, April 18th at 8 in the morning, and both of those matches will have encores at 1 p.m. Eastern following the last live match of the day. So if you miss it at 8 a.m., if you don't wake up until later, first, well done. And secondly, you can catch it at 1 o'clock as long as you don't spoil the result for yourself. Week 2, Saturday, April 24th against the Hangzhou Spark, and April 25th against the Chengdu Hunters. Those matches are at 6:30 a.m., so a wee bit earlier in the morning for you. And you do not have the luxury of watching the encore following the live match. You'll just have to watch the video on demand when that becomes live. So that's weekend number 2. And then you'll have the May Melee, however that plays out. And May 22nd, we're back in the regular season against the New York Excelsior at 8 a.m. Another encore there at 1 o'clock later that day. Sunday, May 23rd, also 8 o'clock against Chengdu once again. We will not see an encore for that one. June the 4th, the next Saturday, against Guangzhou Charge. Now we're looking at 5 a.m. That's tough. Unless you're a parent, 5 a.m. on June the 4th is going to be a tough ask for the match against the Guangzhou Charge. And unfortunately, that is not one that gets an encore, so you'll be stuck with video on demand. The next day, June the 5th, however, that's 5 a.m. against the LA Valiant, and that will have an encore match at 1 p.m., so you can catch the encore later on. But man, 2 straight 5 a.m.s, that's brutal. Fans will do it, though. Heck, I'll do it. But it's a tough ask, so I hope you guys are ready. Then the June Joust tournament plays out, and we don't have a regular season match again until July the 3rd against Guangzhou once again. Guangzhou Charge, 5 a.m., and that will be encored at 1 p.m., so you can watch it there. 4th of July against the Shanghai Dragons, 6:30 a.m. with an encore at 1 p.m. 4th of July against Shanghai, I am okay with that since they did us dirty in the Final Four last year, so I would like to get a little revenge on them. The next weekend, July the 9th against Chengdu, 6:30 a.m., no encore there. New York Excelsior, July the 10th at 5 a.m. We will have an encore, which is cool. And then the Summer Showdown tournament will play out. We'll be back in the regular season July 31st against the Shanghai Dragons with no encore, but that's at 8 a.m., so it's a little bit more manageable. Hangzhou Spark, the second time we see them, will be Sunday, August the 1st at 8 a.m. That will not have an encore either, but it's 8 a.m., so we can deal. The next weekend, Saturday, August 13th, against the New York Excelsior, 5 a.m. once again, but there will be the 1 p.m. Encore match. And then finally, Seoul Dynasty, the last match of the regular season against the same team we play for the first match of the regular season, 5 a.m. Sunday, August 14th, with no encore to speak of. And then you'll play the Countdown Cup, and then you'll play the playoffs, and hopefully the Fusion will be raising the championship trophy when all is said and done. It's hard to really predict how we're going to do in these tournaments, in these regular season matches, just because I don't know what the team's going to look like. We have a lot of new talent. We have a brand new coach. So there's a lot of excitement around this team that maybe now will be the time they can get over the hump, building on Carpe and Alarm, their 2 biggest pieces. But the jury's out. The jury is still out, and I don't know how it's going to work for them. So until I see a little more, I'm going to hold off on predicting the schedule until we get closer to. Maybe I'll see some scrims, or I'll see some preliminary matches, some preseason matches. I'll be able to get a gauge on what's happening here. But for right now, I'm going to hold off on that. But that's your Fusion season schedule. That's your preview for now. We'll be back with more as it comes up. The Friday, April 16th episode of Cheese Sticks and Controllers will be a fun one. I can tell you that for sure. But Overwatch League is coming back. Overwatch League is almost on its way. We're a little more than 2 months out of the start of the season, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to see this team take the virtual pitch and defend Philadelphia from all of these great teams. Looking very much forward to a great season, long overdue, and hopefully this is the last season of all online play. And next season, 2022, we can start our year in the Fusion Arena down there in South Philly. Now that we've talked about upcoming esports games for our Philadelphia Fusion, let's talk about upcoming games that you are able to play on your consoles this week. Get out those glasses. Hope you're thirsty. It's quite a week on tap. Bravely Default 2, a massive Japanese-style RPG from Square Enix, hits the Nintendo Switch on Friday, February 26th. Reviews are very good for this game so far, everywhere between 10 and 8 that I've seen. All good things are being said about this game, so if you're an RPG fan, it's one for you. Also, Harvest Moon One World hits the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch this week. Harvest Moon, the farming simulator, which on the surface doesn't sound very fun, but the RPG elements and the sweet, lighthearted story has garnered quite a following for that franchise, and this is just the newest installment. And finally, Sea of Solitude Director's Cut, a high-profile indie game from EA. It's coming to the Switch for the first time with new gameplay moments, new story, and a whole new outlook. So Sea of Solitude, Harvest Moon One World, Bravely Default 2, lots to consider. But what's on tap for you? Yes, folks, there they are. That's what you can play starting tomorrow, or today if you're listening to the podcast, when it was uploaded. Bravely Default 2 is already out. Harvest Moon and Sea of Solitude are on their way quickly. Lots of things to choose, lots of things to do, and hopefully you play the game that's right for you this weekend and beyond. And if you're looking for games even further beyond, PlayStation dropped a neat little video just for you. That was the State of Play. That started on Thursday at 5 p.m. Here at Eastern Standard Time. A full presentation, 30 minutes long, of 11 announcements regarding PlayStation titles, both on PS4 and PS5. Some were announcements of PS5 upgrades for existing games. Some were brand new games we had never seen before. Some were new footage or new information on games that we have seen before. So I'm going to run you down bit by bit what was shown during this event. And if there's anything that you are interested in, anything that you want to explore further, I would highly recommend watching those trailers because there's a lot of good things to talk about. So first, the kickoff to the show was the upcoming PlayStation 5 update for Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Crash Bandicoot launched back in October to good reviews. I feel like there were people who were a bit mixed because of the difficulty, but that seems to be a touchy subject recently. If a game is too difficult, but it's designed that way, is it doing something wrong? There's a whole debate going on there, but Crash Bandicoot 4 did impress a lot of critics when it launched, and now the PlayStation 5 update is coming out in a couple weeks, so it will impress a whole new legion of players on their brand new consoles. The next game was Returnal by Housemarque. Originally slated for the end of March, got pushed to the end of April. This is the creepy PT Silent Hill / Alien-esque game that kind of threw some people through a loop when it first was showed during that one PlayStation conference. Definitely has some potential. Definitely one that I'm keeping an eye on. If for no other reason than Housemarque does great work. Resogun speaks for itself. One of the earliest PS4 games there is. That game is absolutely dynamite. So I'm thinking and hoping that they will put the same amount of care and love and fun into Returnal as they did their previous games. Next, we got a little bit more on Knockout City, which first debuted at the Nintendo Direct last week. This is the multiplayer dodgeball game where you're running through the streets of a town or of a city playing dodgeball with other players. It sounds very simplistic when I say it like that, but it really seems like it has a lot going on for it. There's one ball that you can throw that homes in on people. You can put spin on the ball. You can choose the speed in which you throw. It looks fun. It looks like it could be a fun little game. Sounds like it's free to play on March 21st, so that's definitely something to keep an eye on there. The next one was a bit of a surprise. So a developer named Slowclap created a martial arts-themed RPG called Absolver a couple years ago for all the major platforms. And while it underwhelmed a bit, it wasn't quite as, not interesting, but not quite as attention-grabbing as I was hoping for when I first saw it. It definitely had a sound combat system and definitely had a lot going for it in its gameplay. So I'm hoping that this brand new game announced by them, Sifu, with it like an Eastern Chinese martial arts spin on it or edge to it, looks very, very cool. And I am looking for big things from that. So Sifu shoots up the list of my most anticipated games of the year just by being shown at this State of Play. Next, we had an update on Solar Ash, the third-person platformer action game by the developers behind Hyper Light Drifter. That'll be an indie darling coming sometime this year. No specific date, unfortunately. Of the 11 announcements that we got got dates for just a little over half of them. I want to say 6. The rest were all 2021, or no date at all in one case, which we'll get to. But Solar Ash definitely looks cool. I thought that would be here. I thought that would be one of the things we saw today, and I was on the money there. Next, we got actual, honest-to-God gameplay of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. And when I tell you that the departure from just staring at camera screens and making it walking through this creepy mall and trying to survive, so cool. So cool. I was so into that trailer. I was digging it like crazy. I don't even play horror games all that much. I'm just fascinated by them. So I look very much forward to attempting this game once, being too scared to attempt it again, and then watching all the major story beats on YouTube. I hate to say that about myself, but I have to be real with myself, and that's basically what's going to happen. So, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, one to keep an eye on for sure. Next, we had Oddworld Soulstorm, the newest Oddworld game after Abe's Odyssey, Abe's Exodus, Munch's Odyssey back in the late 90s and early 2000s. A bit of a return to form for the Oddworld formula, one that I was not particularly fond of back in the day, but I have to admit that this game's art style and environments and all that look very, very striking. I may end up giving this a shot again. Luckily, I won't have to pay anything for it because one of the big announcements about this game was that it launches on April 6th and it will be free on PlayStation Plus for the entire month of April. So I can download it on April 6th as soon as it launches and then play it for free for as long as I want. I will try anything for free, so I will definitely download Soulstorm and give it a whirl. Now for what I consider my second favorite announcement of the entire show, and I say second favorite announcement while sort of biting my tongue because it was far and away my favorite announcement until the last one, which we'll get to. But that's Kena Bridge of Spirits. This looks like a Pixar movie you can play, and it looks like it plays like Horizon Zero Dawn. And I don't know what else I can say to make it sound any more awesome than that. But this is a trailer you need to sit down and watch and just take in everything that you see about this amazing looking game. Kena Bridge of Spirits, launching August 24 on the PlayStation 5, which I am also very much okay with because it gives me plenty of time to finish other things before I have to worry about that one. I don't want my backlog getting any bigger than it already is, which is nigh impossible to begin with. But this is a game I'm definitely into. Kena Bridge of Spirits should be on your radar. Next up, we had another trailer for Deathloop, the time loop gun assassination style game from the same company that brought you Dishonored. Just a trailer, not really anything more than that. A little bit more story elements, some gameplay. No date, which I find strange, but nothing really we can do about that. It's still a cool trailer. It's still a cool concept, and I'm still very much looking forward to seeing that when it drops. And then finally, the biggest announcement of the show for me was Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, a brand new version of Final Fantasy VII Remake made for the PlayStation 5, also coming with an extra episode starring Yuffie Kisaragi from Final Fantasy VII. The trailers, there's two different trailers that were showed off, one for the extra episode and one for the upgrades that are being made to the game, between visuals and frame rates and environmental touch-ups and things like that. Very, very, very impressive looking update. Even more impressive that PS4 owners get it on PS5 for no extra cost. The update, I should say. The extra episode with Yuffie, we don't know how much that's going to cost or where or when we'll be able to figure that out. But the upgrades for PS5, the visual upgrades, the upscaling, all that good stuff, is free. So you can download the Intergrade upgrade, get all of those system changes, get all of those visual changes, and then go and get the episode with Yuffie later on for a small fee. We don't know what that fee is yet. Hoping it's not too crazy, but we shall see. So now if I'm looking at this rundown here, if I'm looking at everything that was announced and everything that I was interested in, my top three would be Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kena, and Five Nights at Freddy's. That's not to say that the games that are here are bad. It's not that I think that they're, crap and shouldn't have been part of this. Every game has a place in an event like this. My thing is, I'm just very, very excited for all three of those games, and I have been for a very long time. I like that Oddworld is going to be on PlayStation Plus. That's great. Sifu from the Absolver dev, I really like, but I want to see more of it. Returnal, I'm on the fence about. Like I said, I love Housemarque, but it seems very horror creepy. If it's Control style horror creepy, I can do it. But if we're getting jump scared all the time and I'm running away from monsters as I can feel the chill down my spine personally as I'm playing a game, nah, that ain't for me. That's where I draw my line in the sand. I'm a large man with a family history of heart issues, and I'm not trying to exacerbate that if I don't have to. But that is your PlayStation State of Play presentation update from me. It was a very, very cool little presentation. Like I said, lots of good things to be excited about, lots of good things to be excited for, because there are a lot of cool games coming to PlayStation 5, both that were in this video and beyond. If you go back and watch the June and September presentations, one that unveiled the console, the other one that set the price, there are more. There are a ton more games coming for PS5 that have been featured in these showcases. Some that you may have already forgotten about, like Stray. I was convinced Stray was a lock for this presentation, and the Stray never showed up, which blew my mind. But the Stray went astray, and I'm hoping we get to hear more about that game soon. Also, I had a big feeling that Grand Theft Auto 5's PS5 version would have made an appearance here. I really thought that GTA 5 would have a big showing at this, and it didn't. It was heavily rumored to, and it didn't. Wonder what's going on with that PS5 port, or Xbox Series X port for that matter, if that's going to come through anytime soon. So those two were probably the biggest omissions, other than like Horizon Forbidden West, or God of War Ragnarok, or sequels that we know are coming, that should have been a part of this. Those are the ones that everybody's focusing on. Where's this? Where's that? But for me, it's where was Stray, and where was Horizon, I guess, would be my top two biggest omissions: Stray and Horizon. And the lack of GTA 5 was just surprising. I'm not really chomping at the bit for that one to come out, but we know what's happening. I'd rather just get it out of the way so that we can move on to the next Rockstar game. But a lot of work goes into these remasters, more than people realize, and the fact that this has been known for a while and still haven't really seen much outside of that first reveal. Hopefully that means they're really going gangbusters with this thing, and when it's time to play it, we will all be happy to. But that is your State of Play recap for this week. Looking forward to the next State of Play whenever that is. We had Crash 4's PlayStation 5 update on March the 12th, Return on April 30th, Knockout City May 21st, Sifu in 2021, Solar Ash also in 2021, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach coming in 2021, Oddworld Soulstorm April 6th will be free on PlayStation Plus in April, Kenna Bridge of Spirits is August 24, Deathloop is undated still, and Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade launches June the 10th. Hope you enjoyed the State of Play today. Hope you're looking forward to the other videos that are coming soon. And I know that I am getting ready to pop back into Midgar for some Intergrade action. And finally tonight, I want to talk about a huge event that's going on this weekend for one of the biggest franchises in the world. In fact, the most successful franchise in the world. Pokemon is 25. Pokemon, that's right, the franchise that kick-started legions of trainers, both first on the Game Boy, then on the Game Boy Color and Advance, then eventually on their phones where they're walking around the neighborhoods trying to grab and go every single Pokemon that they see. 25 years old for Pokemon, which is just marvelous. It's really hard for a game series to have that sort of longevity for all of these years and still be at the top of their games, at least in most folks' opinions, with each new version that comes out. Pokemon's Twitter account was asking for Pokemon 25 what my first Pokemon experience was, what your first Pokemon experience was. And I gotta be honest, I can picture it in my head exactly where my first experience was. It was Christmas night of the year it came out on Game Boy. So I want to say 98, 99, the year that Pokemon Red and Blue first debuted. I am 11 or 12 years old. I'm a young, impressionable youth. And I am at my aunt's house for Christmas dinner. And I had received Pokemon Red as a Christmas gift earlier in the day. So I'm playing the Game Boy. I'm playing it. And I'm keeping to myself. And people are saying hello. And I'm saying hello back. But I'm really getting into this game. I really, really dig it. And like I said, Christmas dinner had just ended. It was Christmas time, and I was sitting in the basement, and I just remember being so absorbed in this game, so into this game, just wanting to comb it for every little detail that it had. And as the years have gone on, the franchise has gotten better and better and better and better. Between the different regions that it's added and the different Pokemon that it's added, which now sits at just about 800. There's a lot of Pokemon now, so I'm very excited to see what they've got cooking this weekend for Pokemon Day. The 25th anniversary of Pokemon is specifically February 27th or Saturday. So if you're listening to this on the radio, you are listening to this during Pokemon's 25th anniversary on the actual date. Now, they are not celebrating anything on the Pokemon Twitch, on the websites or anything like that until 7 o'clock Eastern. So you have plenty of time on Saturday to listen to this podcast or listen to the radio and to keep listening to me before Pokemon's 25th anniversary special. That streams live at 7 o'clock. It will be airing on YouTube, Twitch, and Pokemon.com/25. And it's already had the weirdest bit of promotion. Post Malone, a well-known musician at the moment, decided he wanted to do a tribute song to Pokemon 25, and he chose, which is a very weird choice if you ask me, but I guess the reasoning behind it is good enough. He chose Only Want to Be With You by Hootie and the Blowfish. So Post Malone is covering Hootie and the Blowfish to support Pikachu. That is such a sentence, and I've written it out a couple times today. I said it a couple times today, and I just snicker every single time because it's just such a weird amalgamation of pop culture. But I like it. The song is really good. The song dropped today ahead of the big stuff happening this weekend. But it's still weird. Like, it's still a very weird sentence to say. Post Malone covered Hootie and the Blowfish to help Pikachu. It's just weird. It's to promote Pikachu. But the big events coming up besides that concert, besides that celebration at 7 o'clock on Saturday night, there is a Pokemon Presents presentation. Pokemon Presents is sort of like Pokemon's Nintendo Direct or State of Play, where they just go over specifically Pokemon news when there was none or the news was too big, too small for its own. They would put it in the Nintendo Direct. But here, we've got a brand new 20-minute Pokemon Direct with all kinds of Pokemon-focused news coming to us. And there are a lot of rumors floating around. There's rumors of a surprise 9th gen that I've seen. There's rumors of more downloadable content for Sword and Shield. There's rumors of remakes of Diamond and Pearl, full Switch-size remasters, kind of like Let's Go for Red, Blue, and Yellow. This one for Gen 4. And I'm very much interested to see if that actually happens. Diamond and Pearl were my re-entry into Pokemon as it's known today. I kind of fell out. So I played the first versions, Red and Blue, to death. And then Yellow to death also. Played them like crazy. Loved those games so much. Gold and Silver, for me, was the apex of Pokemon. They had added 100. It wasn't an astronomical amount of Pokemon yet. They the settings of those games were more interesting. The Pokemon that you found were more interesting. The dogs were cool. The birds were cool. Celebi was cool. Everything about Gold, Silver, and Crystal was the best. That was the pinnacle of Pokemon for me. And then, surprisingly, most people will look at me sideways when I say this, I fell out of Pokemon for Ruby and Sapphire. Did not play those games live. Did not play them when they dropped. When they were released on Game Boy Advance. I instead was doing other things and did not play them. And then the 4th generation Diamond and Pearl brought me back. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, and I played a whole lot of Diamond specifically. I think we're talking like 100 some hours of Pokemon Diamond, trading and collecting and doing all that good stuff. I am a Pokemon fan. I am. I will wholeheartedly admit that to you right now. I've been a Pokemon fan since the first ones came out here in America. I used to know all 150 in order because I'm a huge geek. But new Pokemon news, new Pokemon games is always exciting, and it's always good for the fans. Sword and Shield, for as much as I like it, for as much as I like what Sword and Shield did, and the things that it added, and the regions that it added, and the wild area, which is just a big open area that I can catch as many as I want, it was a bit beleaguered upon its launch. Just fans or ne'er-do-wells, whatever they were, just really poured into those games. And I'm not really sure why. Was it because all the Pokemon weren't there? I mean, that makes sense. It was going from 3DS to Switch. You don't know how much work goes into that implementation. I've had this argument a lot, and we can go round and round. But I like those games a lot. I love Sword. Shield was the same thing, just with different Pokemon. And the DLCs were excellent. Both DLCs, I thought, were very, very, very well done. Crown Tundra, especially. Big fan of that DLC. But yeah, I really thought they were good. I really wish more people liked Gen 8 and Galar, Sword and Shield. I really, really do. I wish that more people would have given it a chance. Even with the astronomical sales that it enjoyed, the trolls and the ne'er-do-wells remain. Kind of bleeds into what I was talking about last week, how you go from being really excited to being snarky or sarcastic or stuff like that. And that's Sword and Shield got a lot of that, especially in the lead up to its launch. Once it came out, though, it sold like crazy, so other people weren't buying what those loud folks were saying. But I still wish it would have gotten a fair shake from everyone and just been a better game or a better experience for Pokemon fans around the world. A more inclusive, a more fun experience for everyone, because there are people who are devout to Galar and loved it, and people who never want to see an N64 looking tree ever again because of how that game launched. It's a shame, it is, but what are you going to do? But back to Pokemon 25. We've got the Pokemon Presents on Friday with the potential Diamond and Pearl remake, and then it's Pokemon Day, and they have celebrations planned all day long, including a concert for P25 Music starring Post Malone on Saturday at 7 o'clock, as I mentioned earlier. Not sure what else is going to be going on with this presentation, if it's just a concert or if there's more to it, but if you're a Pokemon fan, it's definitely something you should be watching for. And then just, playing Pokemon all weekend long for Pokemon Day and continuing celebration of Pokemon 25. I imagine that this will be the first real event of Pokemon 25, and then new Pokemon Snap comes out at some point later this year, and then whatever's announced here will go. Plus, it's a good time to be a Pokemon fan. It is a good time to love Pokemon and love Pikachu because things are going great. There's a lot to like, and there's only going to be more starting tomorrow with Pokemon Presents. So if you're a Pokemon fan, it's your time. It's your weekend. Go out there and enjoy it as best you can and safely. Play your Pokemon Go. Play your Sword and Shield. Play whatever it is, whatever version you're playing. Even if you can find a way to go back to the original and just play Red or Blue all day and be me in that basement playing with the Game Boy just after Christmas dinner. That would be awesome. That would be really, really cool. So here's to you, Pokemon, turning 25. Here's to many, many more years of delighting us all with your games and your TV shows and your movies and everything else. And I'm very, very excited for the future of Pokemon that we're going to find out tomorrow, and I'm hoping that there's a lot of good stuff there to parse through. But that marks the end of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast for this week. Episode 37 is in the bag. Thank you, as always, for listening. I really, really do appreciate it. If you're on Apple Podcasts or you're on iHeartRadio and you want to slip me a follow or a subscribe or a rating after listening to this today, I would appreciate it. Every little rating helps us grow this podcast and keep going. So appreciate that. Next week, more of the best gaming news and esports news that there is. I don't know if there'll be any more Overwatch updates. This seems like a big one, but we'll see what we can talk about. Maybe we'll bring a guest on, figure out some sort of guest to come in and talk to us. Very, very excited and looking forward to that. And I hope you are too. So, my name is Jason Fanelli. I am the Esports and Gaming Insider for Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio in Philadelphia. I hope you all have a great weekend and a great week after that. And I will be back next week bringing you all the latest and greatest news in the world of video games. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great weekend. Good night.